everybody, Richard the Dick Coughlan 616. How are you? There was a bit of controversy last week when the Prime Minister of this country and Conservative Party leader David Cameron decided to announce that multiculturalism has failed. Now this caused a bit of a stir because nobody really knew this was coming. No one saw this coming. I personally looked at it and thought, finally the Tories have landed. They can't hold it back any fucking more. Ever since Thatch left, bless her. Now this pissed a lot of people off. It was the day before the English Defence League's big homecoming march. Last Saturday the English Defence League celebrated being 2 years old. It won't be much longer before hopefully the rest of the fucking people who are in the actual English Defence League can boast to being that fucking mature. And this got on a lot of people's wick, and it pissed me off too. It was clearly cynical and it was very calculated, and he said it for no other reason than to pander and to engage that fucking mob on that far right element, those little organisations and groups and parties to whom that sentence, to hear the Prime Minister say that, is just like Christmas fucking morning. Last year, around October, when some German female politician, I don't remember her name, Eva Braun, she said the exact same thing. Multiculturalism has failed. And what happened? This was jumped on. The people were all over this fucking shit. You know, Geert Wilders was using it, the BNP were using it, Marmite Man 4 was using it, David Duke was using it, and yes, even Pat Condell. I've done a lot of videos about, and I think some of my best videos have been dealing with people like the BNP, dealing with people like Geert Wilders, dealing with people like UKIP, Pat Condell, the EDL, and Nazis in general. It doesn't really matter how much effort I put into it. All those years, all those hours of videos, all the thousands, hundreds of thousands of views, all of the people who have seen and have learnt and have been exposed to these groups and organisations and the way they are and who they really are and what their agenda is and what they're up to, the things they say, the things they do. All of that work is undone in an instant. The second the fucking Prime Minister stands up in public and says multiculturalism has failed. Okay, well, what's wrong? Well, if he's entitled to say that, that's his... But yeah, do you know what? It doesn't fucking matter, does it? It's irrelevant to the people on the extreme end of any ideological fucking standpoint. They don't care whether it's true. They don't care whether he means it. They don't care whether it's accurate. They don't even care whether it's fucking relevant. What they care about is that it fits their fucking agenda. And if that wasn't bad enough, David Cameron gained another fucking group of supporters who are known as Le Front National, the French National Front. French Nazis today came out in support of the fucking Prime Minister of Great Britain. Even I cannot fucking stomach the fact that our Prime Minister is now getting big up, kudos and much respect from French Nazis. And I don't know which of those two is worse. The French wouldn't have fucking gassed the Jews, they'd have boiled them in fucking wildebeest piss and made pate out of them. I don't recognise multiculturalism as a term, and I don't think it is one that should be used, and I think it was one that was created with an eye on the fact that it would create a negative, it would have a negative connotation to it, because it is a very, very poor word to use. It immediately infers a sense of separation, and it immediately brings about this idea that we are inseparate, we are a broken community, our culture, our way of life, our nation is fractured. But it's not multiculturalism, it's British culture, and British culture is immensely diverse. It's one of the most diverse fucking cultures you can find, to a level of variety that you don't find in many other fucking countries. And apparently that has failed. Well, I'm going to sit here and say, fuck you, and let me tell you why. We as a country are very, very small. We don't have a lot of land. We're an island broken away from mainland Europe, not near enough that we can kind of feel like we're part of, you know, that culture of everyone else, but we're far enough away to feel paranoid every single time we turn our back that when we look round, there's going to be there's going to be a great big fucking horde or army pulling up on our shores, ready to come in, invade, rape, pillage, make use of, and then fuck off when they're done. The Vikings, the Angles, Saxons, Romans, every single culture, every single fucking age throughout history, every single type of fucking society that has existed and had within it a big dominating force or an army or a collective or a group invaded this country and fucked off. It's left us with this deep-seated fear that it can happen again. But it doesn't matter, because we're still fucking here. Geographically, we are a service station. We're the Wild Bean Cafe. We're a Texaco garage. People pull over, fill themselves up, empty themselves out, have fun, make play, and then refresh and leave. And every little fucking remnants of that stays here. And we stay here. We're the only country that decided that we should have a superlative at the front of our name. We're not Britain, we're Great Britain. And some people might think that is immensely smug, but let me tell you something about the British. All we do is bitch and complain about how fucking useless this country is, about how shit it is, how fucking crap it is, how fucking it doesn't work, everything's fucking broken, nothing gets fixed, it's always late, it's always fucking... It's always going fucking wrong. It's frustrating, but that's because it's not because this country is shit. It's not because this country is inadequate. It's because we, the British, are just far too high fucking maintenance. We, unlike all the other countries who jump up and down, like America, going, we're number one. No, we don't do that. We don't jump about saying we're number one. Why? We don't need to. Why? Because we're British. That automatically means we are better than everyone else. We are number one. Not just in a way that is actually warranted or necessarily justified or even true. It's just objectively, naturally, circular logic, yes, but logic nonetheless. To make out that we, the British, are automatically better in every way than anyone else. We've always done one thing, and that is we've always come out of the end of any issue smiling. We're going through this phase in this country at the moment, in fact in the West in general, where there is this phenomenon known as Islamophobia. And I don't care what Patcon tells us, it doesn't exist. Yeah, do you know why you think it doesn't exist, Pat? Because that's what you are. When I don't care whether it's a stupid term, whether it's actually poorly put together, and maybe yes, Muslimophobia or anti-Islamic bigotry, who gives a shit? No fucking word we use to describe most things that we refer to are actually, but homophobia doesn't actually mean fear of gay people. Racism technically doesn't apply because you can apply the word race to the human species as a whole. You know, pedophilia doesn't mean child rapist, it means brotherly love of children. And if anyone sits there and goes, oh, Islamophobia doesn't exist because you can't be too careful when it comes to Islam. No, you shouldn't be too careful with anything. You know, but if you're one of these people who believes that 1.7 billion Muslims are all terrorists, you want to stop them having the same rights as any other group of people who would be allowed certain things because you're scared that they're going to come over here and infiltrate some sort of weird, barbaric legal system. You can't even get on a fucking tube train and one of the geezers lets out a ripping great fart and he's on the 9 o'clock news. You are Islamophobic. I've already explained many times why Islam is a useful fucking entity for the far right. particularly those on the far right who are trying to, subtly conceal their racist, anti-immigration, xenophobic fucking ways, because they know the majority of Muslims are going to be of an ethnic minority. They're just playing the fucking percentages game. It doesn't matter to them that over 50% of Muslims living in this country today were born here. In fact, many of them are fucking second, third, fourth, fifth generation. The reason a lot of nationalists, I think, are nationalists and think the way they do, it's not through lack of sincerity. I think a lot of them are very genuine. It's because they don't understand much more of the history of their country beyond 20 or 30 years ago. Most Muslims came to this country in the last century as cheap labour that we needed after we lost a couple of million people in that little war we had in the 1930s and 40s, which we fucking won, by the way, and we needed them. They came here to work in all the industrial towns, and that's what happened. And we were kind enough to let them stay. But they were here before that. We had fucking, as I've shown in a video previously, in my video A Lesson in Respect, we had Muslim regiments fighting for us against Germany in World War I. But we had it before that. In fact, if you look into it, you'll find out that there are examples of Muslims and living in this country, working in this country, working within high-ranking positions in government and within the royal family. The earliest example we have of Muslims being present in this country goes back as far as the fucking 8th century. They didn't just crop up last fucking Tuesday. You see, but that's what the BNP, the EDL, and people like Condell and Wilders think. They seem to think this is a new phenomenon, and that they're going to outbreed us. And we need to stop them. And this is going to be done via limiting immigration, or halting immigration, or just halting immigration from Muslim countries, as if that is a way you stop an idea. How many of you have ideas and opinions and beliefs? Most of you. Hopefully all of you. How many of you got them from an immigrant you met? No. You didn't, did you? You got them from somewhere else. You can ban the fucking Quran all you want. I've got the internet. There you go, I've just downloaded it on a PDF file. You cannot fucking stop an idea crossing a boundary. And if you think you can, you don't understand human nature. The EDL stemmed from disillusioned and very, very disaffected members of the BNP, disappointed with the way the party's going, which is fucking nowhere, and feeling that they want Nick Griffin to step down. Nick Griffin ain't going fucking nowhere, because let's face it, what the fucking hell's Nick Griffin going to do? He's going to milk this for all he's fucking worth. But the BNP, they originally stemmed from another nationalist organisation in this country called the National Front, who, during the 70s, we were a little bit worse for wear in this country, and along come the National Front and starts showing everyone that it's the fault of the Packies and the niggers, it's their fucking fault. And they weren't like the BNP or the EDL, they didn't have to sit there and try and hide their love for these fucking, these national socialist, fascist fucking beliefs. They would walk down the street proudly waving swastikas. They can't do it now. We've made it difficult for them. And that's a good thing, isn't it? There's nothing stopping them expressing themselves. It's just, we've made it difficult for them, because these days, racists feel a little bit guilty. And so they fucking should. They could pick on the black people all they want. Why? Because they immediately stand out as a group that look different from you. They're a minority, and they're easy to fucking demonise, because there's not enough of them to stand up for themselves, and there's not enough of anyone else standing up for them. But these people don't have any fucking power. That's the way out of those who don't need to chant no surrender, because they already did it. The activists and those who were angry and those who were pissed off enough, who had any fucking brains, they were smashing the state. They were singing Anarchy in the UK. They were protesting. They were fucking kicking the shit out of this country. The National Front had a bit of traction, but they never really took off. Why? Well, because fortunately for all the black guys and the Asian guys, there were still problems with this little group called the IRA. And it doesn't fucking matter how much you hate the black guy who lives next door, as long as he's not blowing anyone up a white guy with a bomb will take precedence over him. And the IRA, they were fucking successful, and with a great deal of fucking notice. This wasn't a group of foreign fucking insurgents in a country fucking several thousand miles away, living in fucking burrows and caves in the arse end of fucking nowhere. No, these were fucking white British people with bombs. They wanted independence. They didn't want to be part of Britain, and they would win at any cost. And they didn't have a lot of fucking funding. They didn't have a lot behind them. But what they did have would have been considerably less if it wasn't for America fucking funding them. Yeah. But this led to anti-Irish fucking sentiment. In fact, it was so bad at some point that Irish people became known as white niggers. Because if you were pulled over by a policeman and you were Irish, you would have got treated worse than if you were a black guy. This led to a point where in the mid-1970s there was the case of the Guildford Four and the Birmingham Six. Two groups of Irishmen who were wrongly convicted of conspiring to or even committing terrorist attacks on behalf of the IRA, and they were sentenced and they spent over 16 years in prison, completely innocent. Our fear and paranoia, it led to us becoming so fucking scared of a group, of one identity, that we could connect to something, that we wrongly imprisoned 16 years innocent. Sure, they came out and we gave them £750,000 between them. You would have hoped that that wouldn't have had to be the case. But that's what terrorism does, it works. So don't fucking sit there and be surprised when you see this happening today. Now you can sit there and go, yeah, but there's 1.7 billion Muslims and there's only 5 million Irish. But it weren't 5 million Irishmen, because it weren't all of them against us. The same way ain't all of the Muslims against us. And no matter how much you fucking tell me, so just read the fucking Quran and go, oh, you go down there to Sharia law, it's people like you. Shut up and fucking listen. Because we've already gone down that fucking road. And people come out and they talk about how, oh, they come over here and they don't want to integrate and they want to fucking impose their fucking way of life on us. Because they really can do that, can't they? You know, they keep themselves to themselves and they don't, yeah, and some of them don't speak perfect English, but have you read the fucking shit I've been reading from the EDL? Most of them don't even fucking know half the alphabet. They just fucking, most of them just fucking snort the ink and then fucking vomit it on the page. Why do you think nationalist organisations always use initials? It's so they can fucking spell it. And we've already gone down this fucking road with the Tipton Trio. This was in 2004. 3 young men, Muslim men, who lived at that time in Dudley, in the Midlands. They went to a wedding in Pakistan. While they were out there, they were captured by American forces, who sent them to Guantanamo Bay, where they would spend 2.5 to 3 years, during which time they were tortured, they were beaten, subject to psychological and mental and emotional distress, they were sexually abused, and they did this because these 3 men were believed to be 3 unidentified gentlemen in a video meeting Osama bin Laden. 2.5 to 3 years of enhanced interrogation, because the Americans wanted them to admit that that was them in the video. And after 2.5 years, they finally caved in and said, yes, that's us meeting Osama bin Laden. And it wasn't until afterwards that they found out that these 3 men were not there. Because when this video was being made, at that exact same time, these 3 guys were working in an electronics store in Wolverhampton called Curry's. This was the first most people had heard of what went on in Guantanamo Bay. And we did this, and it still goes on. And how many people have been there? How many people have gone through that? That they were innocent the whole time. Can you imagine that? Can you get your head round what it would be like to be kidnapped for a week and tortured by people who only wanted you to confess to something and had no fucking interest in any legal or justice system? And then they go home and all they see are people outside like the EDL, smashing up a restaurant because there's Asian people in it. And then they see people like the BNP. They see people like Pat Condell. They see these people like the National Front marching up and down. They get dog shit put through their fucking windows. They get people mocking and ridiculing their fucking accent or the way they dress. I went to a football match in 2002, England against Turkey, and had to sit there, awkwardness, as 5,000 people around me stood up and chanted, "I'd rather be a Paki than a Turk." Not because they wanted to be racist to Pakistani people, just because they wanted to fucking intimidate the Turkish people. And then they have to sit there and listen to us bitch and complain about how our fucking country is worse off because of them. And then they turn on their TV and see their own Prime Minister sit there and say, multiculturalism has failed. And you wonder why these people might not necessarily want to be the most fucking sociable people there are. You sit there and have the gall to fucking complain that they don't fucking integrate with people very well. Have you seen fucking people in Spain and Portugal and all those other expat colonies from British fucking immigrants, people who've gone out, people who've emigrated to them? Have you seen how fucking Spanish they are? Do you hear them complaining? No. But we do this again and again. We've been through this before in my fucking lifetime, and we're doing it again now. And all it takes for you is to do one fucking thing. Understand that you cannot blame everyone else for your fucking life. You cannot sit there and be scared of people and hold them accountable for stuff they haven't fucking done just because they fit a profile. You cannot spend your entire fucking existence living in absolute paranoid fear of something because you are not able to deal with the reality of the fucking world we live in. And you certainly can't sit there and laughably pretend that simply by terrorising innocent people for no fucking good reason and victimising them and making their fucking lives and their ability to live equal alongside everyone else harder, because it's easier to pick on them and it's easier to do that than it is to get a set of balls, a spine, a stomach, stand up and go to the people who actually make your life fucking difficult. David Cameron is a fucking idiot if he thinks multiculturalism has failed. It hasn't failed. He has failed. He and every other politician and every other media fucking mogul who has chosen to let ignorance and paranoia and fear and hatred and bigotry run through the fucking course of all of our society, when they could do anything. They could stand up and actually make it clear and show everyone that they don't need to fucking be afraid. Because when you're afraid, when you're scared, when you live in that state of mind, nothing will come of it. And the only people who will suffer are the innocents amongst us. And the people who actually should be suffering are sat there laughing as we fold and capitulate to everything they ever wanted. So the England Defence League, the National Front, Le Front National, Pat Condell, Geert Wilders, BNP, BPP, the RVF, all of you, you are worthless to the cause of humanity. And you hold everyone fucking back because you do nothing but create the one fucking thing we don't need. And that is more fucking terrorism. Now grow the fuck up, get your life sorted and start trying to make a difference for the better, and stop pretending that your life is the responsibility of anyone but your own. You fucked it up, you make it better. Richard the Dick Coughlan, 616. Good night. May God bless.
The time has come to exact retribution, revenge against you and your people for what you have done. if it has not been you helping the Jewish conspirators steal land from our brothers and sisters in Palestine and giving them weapons to oppress and murder and kill our brothers and sisters in Palestine, then it is the murder that the British and the American crusading Christian pigs in the name of this war on terror, and it's rubbish. Now it is time to exact retribution against you Western kuffar dogs, and you will all go to hell.
Right, this is not a dare, this is not a joke. Look me in the eyes and tell me this is serious.
This is deadly, 100% absolutely serious.
It's not really an act. I mean, what else can you do apart from that thing?
I can make explosive bombs out of peroxide and chapati flour, but it doesn't always work all the time properly.
But it's not sustainable as an act.
But all my friends are doing it.
So you scared the death out of me. It was brilliant.
Thanks. So you like it?
But
It was very good as
he was. He was
Okay,
very good.
I'm going to say no.
Bastard!
I'm going to say no as well.
But
But thank you
please,
for
come
coming
on, give me
over.
a chance. Look, I can do this really good dinosaur impression. It's really like... No, please, come on. Give me... Please, give me...
Off you go.